sense here of how Americans are reacting to what he's doing, Trump has gone too far when it comes to using presidential power. 61% of our poll respondents say that is true. Trump has gone too far deporting undocumented immigrants. 57% say that is true.
All right, guys, we just had a new batch of polling released, and oh my goodness, things are not looking good for Donald Trump or the Republicans. Now, of course, this has been a trend that we have been tracking ever since Donald Trump came back into office for a second time. But instead of just focusing on the top line issues like we normally do, we're going to take a look at a whole series of polling questions that really only spell doom for the current administration. Now, to just be upfront with everybody, by the time this video is released, this data is likely to be about a week old, but that is only because I'm pre-recording videos to make sure that I have content to post while I take time for the move. So, without further ado, guys, let's go ahead and jump into the top-line approval rating for Donald Trump, which has now hit an all-time low. If you guys do appreciate my work and want to support the show, please do remember to subscribe.
It is, John, and just consider this brand new CNN poll sort of a mood ring, if you will, as we head into Election Day tomorrow and that we're 1 year away from the midterms. That approval rating for the president, it is at a low point of his second term. 37% of Americans in our poll approve of the job Trump is doing. 63% disapprove. Take a look.
So, yeah, this is not good, guys. And if I'm not mistaken, his approval rating now, which is sitting at 37%, is now lower than it was directly after January 6th. I'm pretty sure his approval rating right after January 6th was 38%, but now he has even surpassed that with a 37% approval rating. Now, that is absolutely insane all on its own, especially because Donald Trump has only been in office for, 9 months now? But let's take a look at how that compares to when he first came into office.
Disapprove. Take a look at his approval in this term over time. You see here, he was up hovering near 50% in his honeymoon after the inauguration, and it has been going down pretty steadily since, now at 37%.
Yeah, guys, so I've said this many times before. You know, you got mid-February to late February, you're sitting at 48, 47%, right around that 50% line, because people wanted to give Donald Trump the benefit of the doubt. Most of the American people want to do that for new presidents. So it is quite wild to see that just after 9 months, he is now at an all-time low between his first term and his second term. And if we take a look at just independents alone, this is even more damning.
Without this year. So in mid-February, he was at 43%. Now he's down to 28%. That's a 15-point drop. And I always like to point out independents specifically.
Yeah, guys, that is not good. Going from 43% to 28% in a 9-month stretch, down 15 points with independents alone. And as you guys know, independents are really who can swing elections come election time. So if you got independents who are no longer on board with what Donald Trump is doing, Democrats should have a pretty good chance of cleaning up in the midterms. Now, to go a step above and beyond that, let's go ahead and see how Americans are thinking about whether or not Donald Trump has gone too far in his role as president.
Just to give a sense here of how Americans are reacting to what he's doing, Trump has gone too far when it comes to using presidential power. 61% of our poll respondents say that is true. Trump has gone too far deporting undocumented immigrants. 57% say that is true. That's up from February. In fact, this question, Norah O'Donnell asked him on 60 Minutes last night. He said the exact opposite. He thinks it doesn't go far enough. The American people disagree, according to our new poll.
I mean, that is just absolutely insane, guys. Immigration used to be Donald Trump's best issue. And now you've got 57% of people saying that he has gone way too far in his mass deportation efforts. And then when he was asked about it on 60 Minutes, he said, no, this violence being doled out by ICE, well, they haven't even gone far enough yet. That is insane. He is completely contrary to the overall feeling of the American people. And then to look at his using presidential power, where you've got 61% of people saying that he has gone way too far. I mean, this should bode very poorly for him and the Republicans in the midterms. When people are looking around their country and they're noticing their neighbors being snatched off the streets, they're noticing ICE agents doling out violence, when they notice the economy starts slipping and people are getting laid off all over the country, when you've got tariffs impacting households, you look at what Donald Trump has done to facilitate some of these changes in the country, and people just do not like what they see. So much so, in fact, that check out this question about whether or not people think the country is headed in the wrong direction.
Well, we sort of do that directional. How are things going in the country? Only 32% of Americans, John, say they're going well. 68% say going badly. What's driving that? Well, what is top of mind for Americans? The economy and cost of living, far and away. 47% of Americans say it's the most important issue facing the U.S. Then the state of democracy at 26%. Immigration, crime and safety a little lower down.
This was very, very fascinating to me, guys, because look at the top three issues here. We've got the economy, which is normally going to come out on top no matter who's in office, right? People care about the economy and they care about the economy most. But check out number 2 and 3 here. You've got the state of democracy, and then you've got immigration. The most important issues that the American people are thinking about. State of democracy being number 2, I mean, that's astonishing. And for then immigration to be number 3, I don't think that is about having too much immigration at this point, because as Donald Trump and his administration continue to say, well, they shut all that shit down. So the only thing that I could really take from here is, are people thinking that Donald Trump has gone way too far with these mass deportations? Are people thinking that he's gone way too far with all of this violence being doled out by these federal agencies? And now they are thinking immigration as a top 3 issue because Donald Trump has completely flipped the support in this country? Because that's what it seems like to me. I don't know. You guys tell me what you think. But I don't think this bodes well for Donald Trump or the Republicans when it comes to the midterms. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the next set of questions here where, you've got people thinking about the economy, of course. But sometimes, most of the time actually, the president doesn't necessarily affect the economy all that much. But when people are asked whether or not Trump's policies are making things worse, here is what they had to say.
So, given that the economy is so hugely important to Americans, what do they think of Trump's policies affecting the U.S. economy? 61% of Americans in this poll say that his policies have worsened the U.S. economic conditions. Only 27% say they have improved them.
This shit is insane, okay? Because like I said, guys, the presidents normally don't have a huge impact over the overall economy, right? There's only a limited number of things that they can do to have good or negative impacts on the economy. But what has Donald Trump done? He came into office, he declared a national emergency so he could have the unilateral authority to start implementing these tariffs, and then he used these tariffs basically all across the globe, which is now having negative impacts in our economy. So he has single-handedly hurt the economy, and the American people in this polling are saying that they are starting to notice. Again, guys, not good for Donald Trump, not good for the Republicans. Now, what could this actually mean for these upcoming midterms? We are about a year out at this point, and in fact, I think we are exactly a year out from these 2026 midterms. So with all of these polling questions that we've already gone over in mind, how is it going to impact or have the potential impact in the midterms?
Too, but you're right. We did take our first look a year out at that generic congressional ballot. Would you vote for the Democrat or the Republican in the battle for Congress? 47% say they would vote for the Democrat, 42% the Republican. This Democratic advantage, it is an advantage, but it's not nearly as large of an advantage Democrats had 8 years ago, coming to the end of Donald Trump's first year in office in 2017. That teed up their huge midterm victories in 2018.
So this is the generic congressional ballot. This is basically asking people whether or not you'd want to vote for a Democrat over a Republican in the upcoming midterms. And as you can see here, you've got a 47 to 42% lead in the Democrats' favor. And as the pollster mentioned here, or the guy presenting the information here said, that is not as good as things were back in 2017, which should be concerning for us on the left. Now, we do have a full year to make improvements on this front, and I think we are still going through some internal fighting, some reevaluating. All of that is still true today, but I'm not a huge fan of this congressional ballot figure. Having only a 5-point lead doesn't mean that we are going to necessarily have a huge blowout victory in the 2026 midterm. So we need to make sure that we are putting in the work today to get those numbers up. Now, the interesting part about this next question is how people are feeling as far as enthusiasm when it comes to voting.
However, we do see that Democrats are far more motivated to vote than are Republicans. If you look here, those that tell us they're extremely motivated to vote in the midterms, Democrats and Democratic-leaning independents, 67% say they're extremely motivated. That compares to 46% of Republican and Republican-leaning independents.
So it's gone down a little bit since July. In July, we had 72% of Democrats or Democratic-leaning independents saying that they are very enthusiastic to vote. That is down to 67%. But as you can see here, that is a 21-point lead on the Republicans, which is a very, very good sign. Now, again, guys, the congressional ballot doesn't look as strong as we would like it to, but Democrats being more enthusiastic to vote is a very good thing. We want to make sure that people aren't losing that enthusiasm over the next year. That means we need to continue on with the messaging. We need to continue on pointing out the corruption of this administration. We need to continue pointing out all of the flaws of this MAGA movement and how destructive it is being to our country. So everybody keep on doing what you're doing, elevate what you're doing, because we have a year now to make sure that people are getting out in the midterms to vote. Because if we don't go out and vote, as we saw in 2024 with a Kamala Harris loss, I mean, none of this means shit if Democrats aren't enthusiastic enough to actually get out and vote. And the last thing I want to show you guys is how the Democratic Party is still suffering from a branding problem.
The Democratic Party brand is still a problem for the party. Look at this. Their favorable rating is at 29%. Now, the Republican favorable rating is not that much better, 33%, but still a tick better. 55% of Americans have an unfavorable view. A majority of Americans have an unfavorable view of the Democratic Party. Now, this is a lot of Democrats that are feeding that. They're sort of hating on their own party. We'll see if they succeed tomorrow night, if Donald Trump's numbers continue to go down, if that'll turn their fortunes around. But this does not look exactly like that 2018 huge midterm sweep. The Democrats still have some work to do to take advantage of Donald Trump's unpopularity with the American people.
Yeah,
So again, guys, this is something that we've talked on the channel quite a bit about. Democrats right now, as a party, as an institution, not super popular. Now, the little silver lining in these particular numbers here is that even the GOP, the people who are currently in power, their favorability is only at 33%, which is only a 4-point lead on the Democrats. Now, we've talked about why this is. Not only do Republicans dislike the Democrats, not only do independents dislike the Democrats, but also there is a huge swath of Democrats who dislike the Democrats. So that number probably isn't a great measurement of where voting intentions would probably lie, because even though there's a shit ton of Democrats who are not too thrilled with the Democratic Party right now, doesn't mean that they're not going to turn out and vote for the Democrat. But with that being said, these numbers suck, guys. The Democrats need to put in the work. They need to show the American people, they need to show people of the Democratic base that they are willing to fight back against this authoritarian takeover. That is the number one thing that we keep on hearing from Democrats over and over and over and over again. Stand up and do something. That is why Gavin Newsom has become so popular. That is why people like J.B. Pritzker have become so popular, because they have shown a willingness to actually fight back against the Trump administration. And so if Democrats continue on this trajectory, if we can build on this momentum, we can show the American people that we are fighters, that we are actually looking out for the little guy, we're actually looking out for all Americans, we should be able to get these favorability ratings back up. Now, like he was saying here, they're not looking too great right now in comparison to what it was back in 2017 before I think Democrats picked up like 40 House seats or something insane like that. So we got a lot of work to do. That's really what it boils down to. We've got a ton of work to do, and that work needs to start today because this next year, before the 2026 midterms, it's going to blow right on by. It is going to be here before we know it, and we have better put in the work now so we are cleaning house in the midterms. So I want to know what you guys think. Again, this trend continues in the wrong direction for Republicans. I wouldn't necessarily say that it's trending 100% in the right direction for the Democrats because there are a few numbers in here that I take issue with and I think that we can improve on. But if these trends continue, if these numbers hold strong and get even better, Democrats should have no problem cleaning up in the midterms. Of course, with the caveat that we have free and fair elections. So, like I said, I want to know what you guys think. And if you guys are interested in supporting organizations that are actually fighting back against this authoritarian takeover, you're looking to support organizations that not only works to get out the vote, but are traveling all around the country to have conversations with young people and register them to vote, make sure you hit that link in my description below, the link in my bio, to check out the Unfuck America Tour, guys. Something that I'm very, very passionate about is the Unfuck America Tour. You can sign up to volunteer. You can sign up to donate. You can even buy tickets to our big event down in Phoenix in December, where we are going to be holding an event down there to counter the conservative AmFest. It should be a really good time. That is on December 20th. Like I said, you can purchase tickets, volunteer, or you can donate. So whether you got $5, $10, or $50, guys, every little bit counts, and it's got to be a team effort as we continue the fight against this authoritarian regime. So I will leave it there for now, guys. If you guys got anything out of this video, please do remember to smash that like button and subscribe. Maybe share with a friend or two. I'd very much appreciate that. We've got to build something here on the left that pushes back against this authoritarian takeover that is just going faster than I think anybody ever imagined. So if you do like what I do here, please do remember to smash that subscribe button. If you guys want to go a step above and beyond that and help me produce these videos, you can become a member right here on YouTube for as little as $3 a month. Or you can head over to politiscape.substack.com where you can have my content delivered directly to your inbox every single day without the doom scrolling, without the algorithms. And the cool part about Substack is I own the data over there. So having you guys subscribe over there on Substack is a big, big deal for me. So until the next one, guys, everybody keep your chin up and hope you're all doing well out there. I'll see you on the next one.